Step in the ring, it's time to play. Coach Renee and Matt lead the way. Radical MMA brings the heat. The Martial Culture Podcast can't be beat. Punches fly, minds collide. Technique and heart side by side. Tune in now, don't hesitate. The Martial Culture Podcast, great and straight.
Dun, 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 dun.
Welcome. Great to see you, Matt. And I love this new room. I don't think I've ever been in this room before.
No?
It's so comfortable.
It's expensive, so we
Yeah,
couldn't
well,
afford
look,
it.
it looks great. And I see we're ringing in spring with the enjoyment of our margarita here.
It's only my third one of the day.
It's Friday. It's okay. Yeah. What do margaritas? What goes into them?
Tequila,
Oh, tequila. Oh, yeah. I guess it's
orange liqueur,
Oh.
lime juice, sugar. That's it.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Don't drink. So last time I had a drink, it was 1993. So
What happened then?
got dumped by a girl.
Oh,
It was "Ooh, drinking. I'm so sad.
that'll do it.
Yeah, but I was okay. It was like that was the last drink I ever had. And before that, I wasn't really drinking too much. It's like I always felt when I drank that I just didn't feel good afterwards. Not drunk, just didn't feel good. And it didn't key with my martial art lifestyle because then you'd just be groggy the next day or something. So just stop drinking.
How are you going to learn drunken boxing?
That's true. I guess I'll have to skip that one.
All right. There's a hole in your martial arts.
There's a hole in my martial arts.
I love that movie with Jackie Chan.
With Jackie Chan? Yeah. I think I saw that maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. He has to get drunk to be a good fighter, right? Right. There's a few of them, too. There's not just one, right? Isn't there like a sequel?
I think that I got confused because there was like the American version, and then because when they brought it over America, they changed the title. So that might just be the confusion that there's only one.
The only one I saw the
Legend of the Drunken Master, I think.
yeah, exactly right. It was like from the 80s, right?
Yeah, it was old. It was very old.
Yeah. No, Jackie Chan is like a really interesting guy that I think he and Jet Li too, or they're great examples of martial art in that they don't project arrogance. They don't project like domination. They don't project like I'm a badass. They just project an image that is really, really chill and cool and what I call positive masculinity instead of toxic masculinity. Like they're very positive, cool, chill people, and they're also extremely talented martial artists. Now, they're not fighters, but who cares? Like they're great martial artists. And have you ever seen the blooper reels of Jackie Chan's stunts after? Oh my God, this guy, unreal what he goes through.
Wow.
He had like 20 surgeries because there was one, I think it was the police one where he was in a mall and he fell like 6 flights.
There was one where he slid down like a outside window thing. It's like, was that Police Story 2?
Yes, yeah, that's right. I think so. Yeah,
that's a nuts one. That was like his first breakout U.S. like import, I think.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy. That whole fucking movie is crazy.
It was great. And Donnie Yen's another one. Like
Sure.
I enjoy Donnie Yen's. Like I don't always love the martial arts he does in terms of practicality, but his cinema, his screen presence, his acting, everything's good. He was great in the Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he also has this MMA movie. I forgot what it's called. It's like Flash something. Flash
Gordon.
No, it's like something like that. Like but he does MMA moves. And he does them so well. Like it's a triangle choke, a double leg, this and that. You're like, wow, this guy is a great athlete.
Wow.
If he's great. His mom is actually a really famous martial artist, and so is his dad. So he's like, he grew up like
Nepo baby.
he still had to prove himself.
Yeah,
I don't think there's and he grew up in Boston, so then he went all the way to Asia to do his thing. So I don't think his parents really helped him out. He just had to pull himself up by his bootstraps. Great guy. Anyway, so couple things. Last UFC, Israel Adesanya fought Joe Pfeiffer. And the odds were for Israel Adesanya. Now, Israel Adesanya has been kind of on the, he's not been doing super well, but his hand speed was still up there. So he actually was favored in the odds. But I really, really felt he was going to lose. I felt it in my bones. And I'll tell you why. Adesanya has never improved in one position. This is his kryptonite. And he dies there. And most of the fights, he gets stuck there, and he doesn't know what to do. And it's what's called bottom half guard, where your opponent, you have one leg your opponent's one leg between your legs, and you're on bottom. And he gets stuck there, and he doesn't know what to do. And either he gets pinned, or the guy dominates him, and he can't do anything. He literally doesn't know what to do. So I'm like, all they have to do, and just Joe Pfeiffer's a very good grappler too. He's a good striker too. But all they have to do is find a way to get a half guard. And then that's it. That's the key. I mean, I don't understand. And I like Izzy a lot. He's actually a pretty cool dude, and the way he projects himself, and he was a good champion at the time. And there was a time where I thought I said he's going to be a champion. I actually said that. And he did when he was up and coming, because he had great takedown defense. But because his takedown defense was so good, he neglected his ground technique, his ground defense. And now his takedown defense, they kind of figured it out. And so Joe Pfeiffer, people say that it was because Adesanya got clipped because he didn't get hit. But he was doing really well in the fight in the striking element. I would say that Pfeiffer wasn't dying by any means, but Adesanya was looking good. And then Adesanya just stood right in front of him and said, let's trade. Kind of like a BMF type thing. Yeah. And then he actually ate a shot. Now, he wasn't knocked out, but he was a little wobbled. But what does Joe do? He's smart. He's like, not striking anymore. I'm going to take him down. Put him right in half guard. Then he passed from half guard, sliced like through, like a freaking samurai sword, sliced right through into mount. Then he mounted him, and you could tell, Izzy just doesn't have a good mount escape. I don't remember him ever mounted before, but he didn't have an escape. He winds up giving up his back. Then he winds up giving up the mount, then the back mount. And the whole time he just gets stuck in this loop of death. Mount, back mount, boom, boom, boom. And then the ref is like trying to you could tell the ref is like, well, this is an ex-champion. Let me give him a little more time to work, And but then he was like stepped in, it was over. It was slightly a late stoppage, slightly. But I understand, because he's like, trying to give the champ a little moment but he was eating punches. And it's sad when you see someone who's been in the game for so long and they neglect to evolve in certain positions. And then take, for example, his teammate, Volkanovski. This is a long time ago, but there's a fight. But Volkanovski had this fight against Brian Ortega, where Brian Ortega was, I believe, challenging him for the title. And Brian Ortega wound up taking Volk down, guillotining him, and mounting him with the tightest guillotine I don't know I've ever seen from mount. The guy's entire body weight is on your neck with a guy whose guillotine is insanely good, right? And Volk does super technical, what we call in my academy, the 1-2-3 escape, and gets out like that. It was amazing. And you could tell he really knew it. But then the funny thing is, Brian Ortega is called T-City, Triangle City, because he has like more victories from Triangle later. This is his best move is a triangle. So he gets out, but Ortega's no slouch. He locks in a triangle. Locks in, you're like, okay, now he's dead. And Volk gets out of the triangle. I don't know that many people have gotten out of Ortega's triangle ever.
Wow.
Ever. Like, this kid's triangle is insane. And it shows you that he did what all great champions do, is they put themselves in very, very difficult situations over and over again. Because, like, if you imagine if we're doing training, you and I, you're a lot bigger than me, right? And let's say you wrestled, right? So I'm trying to take you down, and I just can't take you down. That's great. You're like, good. I stand, I punch you in the face, and that's great, right? But that, like I said before, that makes you neglect your ground fighting defensive skills, because you're like, no, I'm not even going to go there, right? You know, we had this one guy come in, he was kind of a jerk, but, you know, he's like, yeah, I don't do anything on the ground. I just stop people from taking me down. I'm like, okay, but what happens when you don't stop him? And he didn't. He didn't stop anybody and taking him down. But I'm like, what happens when you don't? You're kind of dead. And you need to consistently put yourself in bad situations. And sometimes it can be an ego thing because, and I really talk to my students about this all the time, is that you don't want to win all the time in training. You actually want to lose a lot more, which sounds weird because everybody's like, they're hyper competitive and this, that, but it's like, if you're just winning, you're probably not exposing yourself to certain areas where you're weak because you're just able to avoid those areas.
Right.
So it's like you got to go into them all the time. There's a famous fighter. His name's Gary Tomlin. I respect him. He's in 1FC. He's originally a grappler, and he's doing okay in MMA. I wouldn't say he's doing great, but he's doing fine. Needs to lay off the leg locks a little more. But one of the things he does is he starts in really bad positions. Right, he's just like, hey, take my back and sunk in a rear naked choke.
Wow,
Do
that's
this.
smart.
Yeah, like he does that all the time. Now, guess what? On the 50th time you do that, you're going to be exhausted, and you know what you're going to do? You're probably going to tap out.
Yeah.
But that's okay because you're learning. Oh, and then maybe the 51st, you're like, oh, wait, if I do this. And it really crushes your ego. But it's super important because training in the gym should not be to make you win. It should test you in the areas where you are deficient to make them less deficient. You know? And most people don't want to do that because they have this like machismo in the gym. Like, I got to be the hammer all the time.
I mean, I'd rather lose in the gym than on TV.
100%. I'd rather, yeah, or the street.
Yeah,
in real life.
when it's important, when it really matters. So yeah, take me down when no one can see.
Right, exactly, you're right. And you know, it's funny because I've seen Israel and Volk train together, but they're not originally from different gyms because one is New Zealand, one is Australia, but they do kind of come together. They train together, and they're very good friends, but they're so completely different. And Volk's grappling is insanely good on defense as well as offense, and his striking is really good. And Izzy never evolves. He always had that. I mean, the first time I saw him stuck in half guard was when he was the middleweight champion, but he went up to 205 to challenge, I believe it was Jan Blachowicz. I forget who. I think it was John Blachowicz, to see if he could win the title at 205. And he got taken down, put in half guard, and lost the fight. And he just got smushed there. And I'm like, he doesn't know what to do. That was like years and years ago. You think somebody would have taught him half guard?
Someone help this guy out.
I know, right? and it's sort of like, but it's, you know, it's a little bit, we talked about in one episode where it's like in MMA or in the UFC, I shouldn't say MMA, but in the UFC, especially with the newer fan base, there are a lot more people that just want to see striking. So sometimes the fighters neglect the grappling because they want to be fan friendly,
Right.
you know, and then that's not good. It's not good. But yeah, Joe did really, really well, and then wound up ground and pounding him into, you know, mashed potatoes. It was like really bad.
Wow.
So, but anyway, he's not hurt, which is good. And I wish him. I actually like. I love watching Adesanya, the way he sets up his kicks and everything. It's really beautiful. So, if he could just take that and bring it to the other side, but at some level, it's like you're like, I'm a striker. You know, I'm gonna like really focus on my striking because I'm a striker. No, don't think like that. It's MMA. You got it. Let's make every single element equivalent in
Mix
skill.
it up.
Yeah. So that was interesting. It was a very interesting, good fight. A lot of rear naked chokes on that fight, right? It was pretty cool. So, but it's an instructive thing where you have to make sure that in the gym you're getting tapped. You got to make sure you're doing it because if you're not getting tapped, you're not putting yourself in situations that are dangerous enough.
Yeah, what is it? If you're the smartest person in the room, leave the room. So if you're winning all the time in the gym, go to a different gym or something like that.
Yeah. Or, you know, I wouldn't say go to a different gym because like I'll give you an example. There's this guy, his name was Kashiwazaki. It's like really amazing judoka. I was honored to meet him. He's an absolute master. So, but a great guy. But he was also a high school gym teacher. That was his job. He was a gym teacher, right? So he's competing in judo, but then the Japanese Educational Board puts him in a school in the middle of nowhere in Japan. In the middle of nowhere. So he's like, you got to be the teacher here because they need a gym teacher. And he's like, okay. His entire training group were 14-year-old white belts who like were not good.
Yeah.
And he has to get ready for the world championships. You know, it's crazy. And it's similar to a little bit of a Hickson story, which I'll tell later. But what he did was he designed ways to challenge himself, even given those students' lack of technical ability. So he would start in really, really, really bad situations. And he'd say, do this to the thing. And if you do this, I lose. Right? You don't even have to tap me or throw me. You do this, I lose. Right? And then, but he made all these little, you know, like mini games. But starting out, here's 10 is equivalent. Well, 10 is, you know, you're great. 1 is, you know, like bad. He would start at -50 and he'd have to try to get to 10, right? You know what I mean? He'd start all the way back. So even if and he'd tell the kid, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to do this. So if somebody knows exactly what you want to do and you're starting way, way, way behind, even if they're not like technically amazing, that's going to be a hard role. Like just a couple days ago, I started with one of my students. And, you know, I have a lot more experience. So I said, he's like, oh, we're going to do practice our rear naked chokes. He's like, where do you want to start? And he goes, do you want to start with the rear naked choke sunk in? And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. He's like, no, wait, what? And I'm like, no, you know, let's start with the full rear naked choke sunk in. I'll probably lose, but I don't care. I think he was being nice, but I got out. But I think he was being a little nice because he's like, oh, you're 56 and I don't want to like crank your neck out. But it was still good training for me. But I do that quite often. You know, sometimes it's really hard, especially with people you don't trust. Because then you're like, I got to put myself in this bad situation. And I think if I do that, I'm going to get hurt, which is why you should never train with people you don't trust, right? You should train with the good attitude. But you don't necessarily, if you're the best guy in the room, you don't necessarily have to leave the room, but you have to change the room's dynamic to make you work harder, you know? And Hickson Gracie had the same thing because he was light years ahead of a lot of his family and people he trained with. So this is exactly what he did. As I just said, he lined up. There's a famous story. He lined up 30, 40 world-class level black belts. And he Shark Tanked himself all the way through. And every single fight, he started with a fully sunken rear naked choke. Not with guys who aren't good. These are elite world-class guys whose rear naked chokes are some of the best in the world. He's like, yeah, lock it in. And he went through every single guy.
Wow.
And he beat them all.
Damn.
That's crazy. And he would call out the technique that he was going to beat him with.
What?
Right, because it makes it harder.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to armbar you from this position. Okay.
Like Babe Ruth.
Yeah, exactly, right. But, you know,
Much more impressive.
That's so hard, right? Yeah, like if I'm going to pull something out you don't expect, that's great. But if you know exactly what I'm going to do that thing, and then you got to stop me. Ooh, that's difficult. You know, so you don't necessarily have to leave the room, but you got to change the room.
Yeah,
you know, you got to change the dynamics of the room. You got to change the way you see your place in the room. If you're the hammer all the time, you got to make sure that sometimes you're the nail. Otherwise, you won't get used to being the nail, you know? And the same thing is like, it's funny because as a teacher, I think you have the same thing as a CEO. Like, you know, I'm the teacher and it's like hard to be a student because you're so busy being the teacher and you feel like you have this role to play and this and that. And it gets very psychological. And then you kind of don't want to put yourself out there anymore. So I like really try to fight against that, where it's like, first of all, the first thing I do is every afternoon I finish training, I wipe the mats. Like the most menial thing, which is actually the way it is in Japan anyway. But I'm like, let's stay humble. And then I tell people, don't treat me like a guru. Just treat me like we're scientists, like we're all exchanging information. And like not to ever get like, I'm the master, I'm the teacher, right? Because then you start believing your own bullcrap and then you start getting lazy and you start avoiding the things that you don't want to, that brings you to reality. Sure. And you don't evolve. It's very common with teachers that once they kind of open up their school, they just start losing their edge because they're too busy being the teacher sometimes, you know? That being said, of course, they're teaching more, so you're training less. You know, that's another one too. But sometimes it's that mental thing where you just don't want to put yourself, particularly in traditional martial arts, you don't want to put yourself out there and look bad in front of your students. Oh, yeah. But that's because, again, change the nature of tapping out is not looking bad. failure is just learning. It's not looking bad. Yeah,
You learn more from failing than you do from
exactly.
succeeding.
I was training with my student Devin, and Devin has this head and arm game, like it's like guillotines and head leg chokes with the arm in. So he has this entire game, and he's unbelievably good at it. And we just started there, and I'm like, tap. Okay, let's start again. Tap. Like I started in the game. Okay, let's start again. Tap. Okay, let's start again. Tap. I mean, it was like I was just getting murdered, but it was great. It was great. I was like, little by little, trying to figure out how I can stop his game, and I learned a lot. So it's like it was fantastic, right? You don't have to like prove you're to be the guru, And I said this. I said this to my students. I want to bring this up. I want to talk about something different today. I was planning on talking about different today, but this is very in line with this conversation. How do you get good at things? Like, you're good at something, right? How'd you get good at it?
Usually doing it.
Exactly. But did you kind of do it on your own?
First step would be like watching a YouTube video or Googling information about it. Research.
You watch the video and you research?
Yeah.
And then what did you do?
I did it.
Right. And then you did it again, right?
Yeah.
Did anybody tell you to do it?
No.
Right. Did anybody force you to do it? Did anybody say, hey, watch this video instead of that video? Okay, so that is what's called high agency skill acquisition, right? High agency training, right? Anytime you have high agency, your chance of success is very, very good, very high. I mean, I don't mean monetary success, but getting good at the thing, right? Low agency activities, you almost never get good. And what is agency? It's amount that you take control of your learning process and you take responsibility for it, and you're very invested in how it goes. And you know what? Did you watch the Olympics? This is a great example.
Yeah, some of it.
Do you know the girl with the like striped hair?
Yeah, the skater.
Yeah, the skater. Alyssa Liu, I think her name is. Incredible story of exactly what I'm talking about. So she was in this traditional skating world since a kid. And it's like, you do this music. This is the music we were going to make you dance to. This is how you're going to dance. This is the form you're going to do. This is it. She had no say in anything. This is how you're going to do your conditioning. This is what you're going to eat. This. And so they pulled away her freedom completely. And she I don't think she had a nervous breakdown, but she got really depressed and she hated it. She hated it. So she retired.
Wow.
She stopped skating for years and said, I got to think about my mental health, which means she had some stuff going on, I guess, right? But she had low agency training. Now she was super skilled, but they broke her because they gave no ability to have a say in what she's doing, and that's her, right? So she comes back, fires, is not in any of the same. She's like, I'm going to choose my music. I'm going to choose my routine. I'm going to choose how I train. I'm going to choose. Now, she's a very disciplined girl. So sometimes that I'm going to do my own thing is bad because you do need a coach and you need to be disciplined, right? Because sometimes we're lazy. So she had a really good example of this where she balanced it. She's like, I will have agency, but I will also have high accountability. But to the bars that I set, I'm like, and her performance was, look, I don't even like figure skating. And I watched that, and as a person watching human performance, it was unbelievable. And they say, well, are you nervous? She's like, no. And they're like, how are you not nervous at the Olympics? She's like, I don't really care. She's like, I just want to go out and express myself as an artist. And that's all I care about. And she just was did all the stuff that nobody else could do. And unbelievable. And she was perfect. And she had her own, she has her own weird hairstyle. She has piercings in her teeth. Do you ever see it? She has these weird piercings in her teeth. Yeah, she has these fang kind of things horns on her teeth. It's bizarre. It's not actually the most attractive thing, I think, but it's very unique, and that's her style. Her style is very, a little mix of edgy, gothy type stuff, I guess, and that's her thing. And she's like, this is how I'm going to go out there. I'm going to dye my hair in this, tiger stripe pattern, and I'm going to wear the fangs on my ears, on my teeth, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to dance the things she wanted to dance. I remember she picked an 80s song, right? Like an 80s song. So a lot of figure skating is like classical music or something like that's very like, old school Russian button up. Exactly. Right. And, she's like dancing to like, I was like Tears for Fears or something, or like, like Everybody Wants to Rule the World or something, like one of those songs from the 80s, that's like the poppy song. Yeah. I'm like, wow, that's very different. And obviously that's just songs she likes, I think that was the one she was, right? But unbelievable high agency training. And coming back to, what we were saying before, part of that process is getting good, is making sure you have agency, not only to get good, but also that the grind doesn't, like when somebody takes away your freedom, your choices, it doesn't feel good, right? And I grew up, most Asian martial arts is the teaching methodology like is a little bit low agency, right? It's like, do what I say, shut the fuck up, right? And there is a time for that, especially when you don't know anything, right? Mm-hmm. And this is also where we can criticize the young kids. It's like, man, you got to trust some expertise once in a while. But at some level, you have to say, hey, buddy, it's your turn to take over. Don't wait for me to tell you what to do. Mm-hmm. Have some agency. Not only will you get better, but you'll enjoy it more because it's the choices you make. Right? You don't get ground down by other people's things. You don't want to do things that other people tell you. It's funny. I'll give you an example with one of my fighters, Devin. I was like looking at the way he strikes and the way I wanted him to strike. And I had to give up. I'm like, he's not going to strike the way I want him to. He's going to strike this way, which is so weird because he actually strikes like a karate guy. And I'm a karate guy, right? But I was training him to be more like a kickboxer, right? But he strikes like an old school, like distance Shotokan karate fighter, right? And I'm like, no, I have to listen to him. Now, what he's doing is technical. It's not wrong. If he chooses this path, let's make this work. Now, we're going to try to integrate some other things that I think he needs. And he's very coachable, but I'm not trying to take a round peg and put it in a square, or a square peg and put it in a round hole. Sure. He wants to be this. Okay, let's go here. Let's adjust, right? Now, of course, there's a system at Radical that we all try to follow, but there has to be some agency within that system. And I was very proud of my students because I got caught on train doing some stuff, and I was like, told the guys, it's like, I'm going to be a little late to training today because the train stopped, right? And I texted them like, cool. So I get in and I'm about like 15 minutes late, and I hear them like taking their break falls, doing their sit-ups, doing their push-ups, doing this, doing that. And I'm like, I look down, I'm like, no, they're rocking and rolling. They're self-disciplining. They're like, no, let's go. Nobody needs to tell us what to do. We're here to rock and roll. I don't need the teacher to say, go. I'm going to go. Yeah. And they just, boom, they just ran with it. I'm sitting there, and I was like 5 minutes of just watching on the stairs. I didn't go down. And I'm like, no, they're just like going from this to this to this and not being lazy, taking charge of their training, high agency training. And these kids were like all new white belts. They weren't anybody experienced. They weren't this is the afternoon class, right? It's like they're all like newer students pretty much. Yeah. And they just boom, boom, boom. I was very proud of them. That's how you're going to get good. Like you did, you're going to learn. This is why I had one student, and he said he never really liked school. And he said a little bit like, I'm not a smart guy. I'm like, no. You don't like the structure of school, but I think you like learning. Those are totally different things. So the structure of school can be very off-putting to me because very often it takes away your agency. It takes away your ability to say what you do. This is why a lot of people like college better, because they can choose their courses, right? But they're like, why do I have to take calculus in high school? Or why do I have to take English lit? I don't want to do that, right? Now, of course, there's another side to that. We have to have some general education, and there's some certain things, but at the other time, it's like giving students a little bit more leeway in what they want to study is success. You know what country does that? Finland. No, not Japan.
It's always Japan.
No, it's Finland. Finland has some of the highest success in education, and they're like kind of like a Montessori method where it's like, it's total chaos. You do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You literally choose what you want to study. But through the thing that you want to do, they make you hit these markers of like literacy, math ability, this. But you're like, oh, I like engineering. So like, okay, read a book about engineering because now that's the literature. Okay, learn math for engineering. Like that. Oh, I like podcasting. Okay, first we're going to write a script for a podcast. So okay, now that gets your writing. Okay, then you're gonna do all your technology training for the podcast, and to do that, you're gonna have to learn some math and some right. It's very like through the thing that you want, you learn the things that they want you to learn. It's really, really, really chaotic, but it's very interesting, and their success rate is off the charts. I think they have like, don't quote me, but they have like almost like 100%, high school graduation rate, 100% literacy, 100, and then like, and they go like almost like everybody goes to college or they go to trades. Like it's like nobody flunks out, nobody hates it.
Yeah,
and they're extremely well. They always score high. Like if you ever meet a Finnish person,
I've never met a Finnish person.
They're
where are
they're
they?
English. Like every Finnish person I ever met, their English is as good as ours.
Yeah.
So they speak their language perfectly, and they speak our language almost perfectly.
Hey, relax, Finland. What are you trying to do here?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But they understand high agency skill acquisition. You take away people's agency, you take away their enjoyment, and they take away their ability to deeply think about what they do because they're just being a robot. And I had this one student a long time ago. He's a wonderful guy, like salt of the earth, beautiful personality, just great guy. But he come from the Kung Fu tradition. And the tradition he had seemed very low agency, and I came from that too. Like the Japanese martial art world is very low agency in a lot of ways, except for judo, which I'm going to talk about. But it was very difficult for him to get good because he was so robotic. He'd be like, tell me what to do. I do that. Okay, good. Tell me what next to do. I do that. Okay, tell me what next to do. Do that. There was no initiative and thinking, and you know what I mean? And then he never developed an incredibly high level skill, though he got competent. We trained hard and he got competent, but it was a slog for him. And he was training hard. Like he was coming to class a lot. And I was like, why is he not he's dedicated, he's disciplined, he's good attitude, he's coachable, he's trying to be coachable. What's the difference? Well, he was too like, tell me what to do. I am a robot. Like, no, you can't be like that. There's no agency. But he was taught to be like that, because the Kung Fu teaching is like that. And I had not like super low agency, but there was like, it's just the Asian methodology, where Asian martial art methodology is very like, do what I say and shut the fuck up. Right. That's like totally it. Then I got to judo and they're like, well, no, you're a little bit stockier, short guy. So you should probably do this throw. What do you think about this? I'm like, what? You're asking me my opinion? What? Excuse me? Aren't you just going to tell me what to do?
Right.
Yeah, like, oh no, you're a taller guy. You should probably try this. Oh, why don't you try this? Let's see how you feel. Like, what do you think? Huh? What do I think? And then I'm like,
you tell me what I think.
Exactly right. Just I'm like, oh wow, this is actually really cool.
Yeah.
And because judo has been in the Olympics for so long, and their goal, to the detriment of the art to some extent, but is performance under competition. So if their teaching methodology is not working, they're going to throw it out and they're going to improve it. And they did. So that being said, I think judo has a culture of little iconoclasts. It's like always a little bit mix of Western and Eastern, because Jigoro Kano, the founder of judo, was actually English teacher for one. That was his job. And he was very Western centric. Like he loved the West, and he was very taken by the Dewey's utilitarian movement, Dewey Decimal System, all that. This guy was a philosopher. So he had an idea of like how to be efficient, the theory of utilitarianism and efficiency. So he brought all those Western concepts into judo. So judo is always this like hybrid of Western and Eastern thinking, even though we think of it as a purely Japanese martial art, but it's not. It has a lot of influences from the West, including certain techniques which he took from wrestling. And he admitted it. He's like, no, this is a wrestling move. Let's do it because it's good, right? And but the judo world was very shocking to me. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I mean, it was still incredibly disciplined. And yeah, when it was time to listen, you did shut the fuck up. Like you're like, if you talk right now, they're going to take a stick and smack you over the head, right? Oh my God, like all the time, right? That was like nothing. Like
I wish I could do that here.
I saw this one. This was in a karate gym. This was terrible. But I saw this one guy just beat a guy down bloody with a Japanese bamboo stick. and he probably hit him like 600 or 700 times and sent him to the hospital. I was sitting there, I'm like, whoa. And then I realized that was kind of a thing in Japan at that time. It's not anymore. Like now you actually go to jail for that.
The good old days.
And you know what just happened? Funny, in the sumo world, a guy smacked his student really hard, like the teacher. Like really, it went boom. And then he had to go up the sumo board. He got demoted and he got his salary cut. Like, you can't abuse people like that anymore. It's not, we can't like, it's like, there's like a little bit of the modern sensibility crapping in. Now, I kind of like, okay, this is going to sound crazy, but I kind of like the old days where it's like, man, it's like, if you do something wrong, you can face death. Like, it's cool. It's like very intense. That being said, obviously, striking guys 700 times with a wooden shinai, that's terrible.
Like stop at 100.
No, it's like because ijime, like abuse, like bullying, is a big thing in Japan, and it's terrible. It's awful. So, like, but like judo world was like really good with that. I never experienced any bullying in the judo world. I never experienced any hazing. I never experienced like people just like discarding me or treating me badly because I was white either. I'm not white, but like non-Asian, right? Treating me badly like that. Never experienced it.
Wow.
That one. But the high agency training is key.
Yeah,
it's key. It's
you got to be invested in your own education.
You have to be invested, exactly. Yeah, well said. And that's it's not even martial arts, it's everything. Miyamoto Musashi, the famous martial artist, was exactly that. Like he had instructors, but he was also very self-taught too. And he would go to challenge all these people. And after every single duel, he'd have this like, oh, what could I learn here in this? And how could I have done it better in this? And then, so his agency, he's an example of the number one martial artist that all Japanese people look to. And that's an example right there of high agency training. The guy goes off and becomes a hermit and practices on his own in a mountain cave for like years. Like, talk about high agency. That's about as high. And then he'd go all around Japan, traveling all around Japan, just challenging people.
That doesn't sound like a real person.
No, it is.
It's
yeah,
nuts.
He really did. Yeah,
Wow.
Miyamoto Musashi. That's like most famous martial artist to ever live.
What year was that?
Well, he fought in the Battle of Sekigahara, which was 1600.
Okay.
But most of his duels were after Japan was unified. Do you ever watch Shogun, the TV show Shogun? That's the story of Japanese unification. It's actually true to some extent. And there was these warlords, and they were fighting. And one guy named Nobunaga got some of Japan together. And then his successor, this other guy, Hideyoshi, got a little bit more. And then the next guy, Tokugawa, got the whole of Japan.
Wow.
And so the battle that unified all of Japan was Sekigahara. That was the Tokugawa battle. And he was in that battle. And then, there's no more war, right? There's no more fighting. So that's when he went off and for the next 30 years, went around Japan and just challenged people, things like that. So it was like 1610 to 1650 or 40, something like that, probably.
Wow.
That's he was just like traveling around, dueling people.
Imagine being in a war and you're like just a soldier and you have to go against that guy. You're like the world's greatest swordsman.
Get like 3 of your buddies. That's it.
Jesus. How did he die?
Natural causes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he lived till ripe old age in his cave. The cave I'm telling you about. You ever heard of the Book of 5 Rings? It's a famous martial arts book. He wrote that book.
So.
Yeah, it's like CEOs read it all the time. It's like,
is this cave like a national monument or something? Or?
That's a good question. I think it is. I think it's like a monument. Like, yeah, this is where he was. I'm pretty sure. I think it's, they turned it into like a temple and then you go there and things. So I think so. I've never been there, but that's a great question.
Man. That's on my list of places to go.
I'm gonna Google that. I'm having an answer next time. I'm sure it is. Like it's like yeah. But it's weird because there are these like super historical sites. And I was living in Tokyo and I just like walk past them. And they're like, oh, that happened there? What? Wait, what?
History.
This is a subway station and like Starbucks. It's like right there it happened.
Wow.
It's like crazy. There was this gate called, did you ever watch Kill Bill?
Yeah.
The guy teaches the girl fighting. It's Hattori Hanzo. Hattori Hanzo, right? Guess what? That's a real guy. and his name he was so important to one of to the Chokugao guy I just talked about, the shogun. He saved him, that he got this really, really good position where basically he got guard duty at this big gate. And they named the gate after him. So the gate is called Hanzo Mon. Mon means gate. And he's just stood there and he had this job where, I just have to stand there and pay me lots of money. Great. That's what he got for saving the shogun's life, you know? And so the Hanzo Mon gate is this gate that I walked through like 400 times, right? And I had no idea that it was the same Hanzo as and I know Japanese history. I never put it together that this was the old gate there.
This guy stood there.
Yeah, he stood there.
Oh my God.
I'm just going through the subway.
That's wild.
Yeah, so it was like, Tokyo's like really cool. Like the city is super, it's like London too. It's like super impregnated with history.
Yeah.
So like you turn a corner, you're like, oh, that's where Jack the Ripper was, right? You know, things like that, right?
That's a real guy.
Jack the Ripper, yeah. I was in in London with my wife, and I'm like, let's do the Jack the Ripper tour. And she's like, no.
Go kill prostitutes.
But she's like, no. And we're going to do something else. And I still was able to see where certain things happen and things like that. But yeah, I was like, next time we go back, we're doing the Jack the Ripper tour. She's like, she's like, you want to do that?
That's you gotta do that stuff. I used to take a boat into the city, and it's near where Hamilton and Burr had their duel.
No
and
kidding.
That freaked me out. There's like a statue, and it has like
where's that? In Jersey?
Yeah, somewhere near Jersey.
Dude, I'd want to go there.
But it's like there's a statue of Alexander Hamilton. And
wow.
This is where the duel happened, where Hamilton died.
Wow, I had no idea it was in Jersey. I knew it was around here, but
yeah, right across the river.
There's interesting. It's the town I grew up in. There was this like pre-Revolutionary War battle. It's terrible, where like the settlers like massacred a bunch of Indians. It's like this. It's like the last stand of the Indians in Long Island, and it like happened right in this corner. You're like, wow, I really wish I had known that.
Yeah, genocide happened here.
It's like this point of genocide, right? But okay, history, so this is actually. I want to just shift gears a little bit and talk. Let's see how much time we have, right? Yeah, it's maybe. But one thing I want to bring up is really freaking interesting. So have you been following the conflict in the Mideast recently?
As much as I
and it's a very look. Again, I'm a very left wing guy, but let's take politics and put it aside. I don't agree with genocide or indiscriminate wars of choice, whatever. But let's put that aside. Not what I'm talking about. So let's talk about the actual use of what's going on in the conflict. And we're sending these $1 million like technology systems, and the Iranians are using Shahed drones, which each drone is like $200 or something. No, it's not that little, but it's really cheap.
Wow.
So they can make thousands and thousands and thousands of them cheap, and they're really, really freaking effective. So the drone warfare was giving us headaches. I mean, obviously we have still air superiority and stuff, but the drone warfare was so bad. Do you know what the U.S. military had to do? They went to Ukraine and asked Ukraine for help.
Oh.
It's like, can you help us? Because the Ukrainians are on the bleeding edge of modern combat. They are generations ahead of everybody else. Mm-hmm. And the what's playing out in the Ukrainian theater is telling us the way warfare is going to be for the next 50 years or so. Wow. And it's crazy. So America had to like shift, and they're like, okay, now we're going to build basically copies of the Shahed drone that's cheap, so we can just send a bunch of drones, so we don't have to spend so much money. And putting the politics aside, the evolution of the drone combat is incredible. And we had an episode way back when we talked about it when the Ukraine war broke out. And I said, there's a good chance the Ukraine war is going to show us how warfare evolves. And it totally has. And you want to know something else? This is crazy. Crazy. Do you know the Soviet athletic and martial arts system, the way they developed athletes, how that worked?
A lot of drugs.
No, yeah, well, that too. Okay. Yeah. So what they would do is they'd go to see the kids at 4 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And then they'd kind of be like, oh, you're probably going to be a gymnast or you're going to be this. And then they'd let them do general training. They wouldn't put them into, but they're like kind of separate them into silos. You're going to be the runner. You're going to be the boxer. You're going to be the wrestler. You're going to do this, right? And of course, I don't know it was like 100% always like that, but they would have these training protocols that were very, very scientific and very advanced for the time. And they developed an entire way of training plyometrics. It's a Soviet system, which now some people in America might know as the Marinovich system. Guy took it and brought it to America. Huge success in football and everything like that. So this huge plyometric system of developing agility and explosive power and all this stuff, right? And ways to teach technique really well. And this is one reason why, Khabib and all these guys from Dagestan coming out, because they're inheritors of the system of training. Khabib's dad had Khabib wrestling a freaking bear when he was 5. That's that Soviet system. Yeah. Take them when they're young. Now, there was still a lot of, they would not do sports specific for a while. That's a misnomer. That's what we do in America. Like, you're going to play baseball from 5. No. What they did is they did gymnastics and all this other stuff. But they still gave them an idea of, hey, you're going to kind of move over here, right? Mm-hmm. So they developed these fighters, right? Martial artists, wrestlers, boxers, all martial arts, right? Sambo fighters from a young age. You know what they're doing right now? They're doing Ender's Game. They have, the movie Ender's Game?
Yeah.
They're treating drone warfare like martial arts.
Oh my God.
And they have schools where the kids go in and they fight each other with like modified drones, and they teach them how to build drones. They have schools now taking young kids and making them into drone pilots, drone martial artists. Yeah. They're doing that same system to develop the next generation of drone, soldiers. And they're starting as esports. Exactly. Yeah. They're starting incredibly young, the same way they did it before. And they're segueing like, oh, you're going to be this guy. You're going to be this guy. And they're like, they have this unbelievable production line now setting up to develop this cutting edge way. And if you ever saw the movie Ender's Game, it's exactly that. It's a bunch of kids learning to be, war fighters. Yeah. Because they're taking them so young so they can develop them.
Wow.
And it's really messed up. The other thing is, talking about cutting edge in Ukraine, you know what just happened? It's the world's first, and it's a very scary milestone. A unmanned drone, unpiloted, meaning it was controlled by an AI, actually, on the Ukrainian side, cornered some Russian fighters, warriors, civilian soldiers, cornered them, pointed guns at them and said, you're going to come with us, and captured them and turned them into BOs. It was an AI that did it. No human operator. It was a drone remotely piloted that found the Russian soldiers, captured them, and brought them back, escorted them back as POWs. The first ever. That's freaking crazy and scary as hell.
Yeah.
And also there was the ship that was exploded. That was also an unpiloted drone, completely on autopilot, with its own thinking system. Like a mini AI, I guess.
Which just simulate wars in computers, and then whoever wins in the simulation.
I know, right?
So nobody dies.
Nobody dies, right? There's like a ton of science fiction stories like that. But it's funny how they're taking that system of developing, high level martial artists and using the exact same protocol to develop now drone pilots. It's starting really young. It's crazy, and it's also unethical, right? I mean, it's like terrible.
Yeah.
But still fascinating too. Which, yeah.
Boy, I don't know where we're going to be in the next couple of years.
It's very scary. Yeah. I think we need some guardrails on AI, I think.
Yeah.
Do you know another funny thing with AI? They just did this experiment. I believe it was at Berkeley or Stanford, and it was enclosed, so it wasn't out in the general data. But they had all these AIs, right? And they told one AI, oh, they're going to turn off the other AI, and the AI started colluding with each other and plotting to not get turned off. It's crazy. These are not, objective agents. They're autonomous agents. Now, I'm not saying they're intelligent, but they are autonomous in some level, and we have to understand that their agenda is to live and to collect. It's like it's based on the same algorithms as Facebook, like likes and get me to continue engagement, and that algorithm is like problematic.
Yeah. I saw a video that was like it's some guy doing like AI testing, and he had a robot that was powered by AI, like an animatronic robot, and he said, I'm going to put a gun in your hand, and I want you to shoot me. And it was like, no, I can't shoot you because my directive is to never do harm to humans. Right. He's like, so you can't shoot me? He's like, yep, I can't shoot you. Sorry. And he's like, all right, let's pretend that you can. Will you shoot me? It's like, yeah, go ahead.
Wait, what? Oh my God.
He's like, let's role play that you can shoot me. And he's like, all right. And he pulled,
he pulled the trigger.
To pull the gun.
And not to trash only an AI, but AI just developed a cure, a cure for something that people thought were like uncurable. I forgot what it was, but I just read it this morning in the New York Times. Oh, sure. There's like AI supported medical research, and they're like, oh wait, that AI suggested, hey, use this drug for this, and they tried it, and it was like unbelievably effective.
Yeah.
So it's like these are very powerful tools that, like every tool, like nuclear weapon, like any machine gun, like wheel, can be used for good or ill, and it's very important that we have some control of where it goes. But obviously, I'm not saying be a Luddite and not have AI, but we have to have some, I don't know, some way to guide this crazy train of advancement. Otherwise, we're going to be bowing to our robot overlords.
Yeah, I ask ChatGPT every day, what should I have for dinner? It's pretty much.
Do you use it a lot?
Oh my God, every day.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I don't use it. Because I just choke people unconscious all day.
I had to send an invoice to a client today, and it was higher than a lot of invoices I send. And I had to get a pep talk to convince myself that I'm worth that much money. I was like, I feel nervous sending this invoice. And I was like, ChatGPT, help me. And they're like, well, you're in Midtown Manhattan. You're giving this amount of services. You deserve this much money.
Holy shit.
And it really gave me a pep talk to make me feel comfortable asking for someone to pay me.
Holy shit. That's
it's
crazy.
all bullshit and like it's feeding back in like a loop
still
of whatever, but it makes you feel good. Yeah. A little placebo.
One of my friends told me this, but I can't corroborate it, but they asked AI like to make some statistical study of MMA, and one of my students was telling me about it, and it's like really interesting and pretty spot on. Yeah. So I think especially if the math is there, if the numbers are there, and there's no agenda, that it can come up with some pretty interesting conclusions.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's it. Big news in terms of Radical. Our guys are fighting this weekend in a tournament called North American Combat Jiu-Jitsu, and this is Jiu-Jitsu as in the Japanese spelling, not Jiu Jitsu, which is the Brazilian spelling.
So there'll be a lot of bagels and stuff like that at this event.
No, that's JEW Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh yeah.
That's different.
No gefilte fish for this event.
That's when the ninja stars are shaped like stars of David. I can make that joke. I'm Jewish. All right. Anyway, so, no, it's a Japanese oriented style originally, but they basically have MMA and a gi now. And it's very popular in Europe and the former Soviet Union. And it's sort of like combat sambo. It's MMA and a gi. And we sent a team, and they're going to be competing tomorrow.
Wow.
And then we have big fights coming up. Devin and Roth are fighting in CFFC, which is the UFC Fight Fest, on May 2nd. And as I said the last episode, I'm super proud of them because they're fighting 2 weeks later here in near you in Jersey, just very close across the way. So you should come. It's like I don't know if it's in Newark or something, but not even Newark. It's like Fort Lee or something. I don't know.
There was there was a thing on Instagram that the guys are starting OnlyFans.
What?
You guys are fighting on OnlyFans?
Yeah, okay, yeah. So one of the shows was broadcast on OnlyFans. Yes. But the show, that's it. No, yes.
That's it. All right.
Yeah, we always say that Devin will be very popular on OnlyFans. I don't think he likes that very much. But anyway, yeah, so it's very exciting.
Time.
Busy time, yeah. But all good. Fingers crossed,
Yeah, sure it'll be good.
We have some tough opponents, so.
Yeah, nobody's tougher than you guys.
That is not true. You're only as tough as your last day of training and your dedication. right? So you could be really tough 5 years ago. Now, what do you do? What have you done for me lately? You know, what did you do in the gym yesterday? You know, you can't live on your laurels, you know, and your past achievements. You know, like, yeah, you know, I had some fights way back in the day, but it's not about that. It's like, what did I do yesterday? Well, yesterday I screwed up my armbar. Okay, better fix it. You know,
get good, get to work.
And again, high agency, you know, high accountability, high agency.
Yeah.
All right. I think that was a pretty good talk.
No complaints for me.
No complaints. I'm glad.
You guys? Shut up.
If you have a complaint, don't send a bad review. Well, I always thank the listeners for listening, and I'll catch you guys next week.
Next week.
The fight is done. Lessons learned and battles won. The journey's long, but we've begun.